ages of 0 and like 3 or 4-ish. My plan for this video is to give you some pros and cons for each of those stages so that you can better decide when you might want to start traveling with them. Everything I talk about is going to be based on my own experiences traveling with my son, who's now 2.5. We've been on a lot of flights together, and also on a little informal Facebook survey I did with a lot of other travel moms. So I'm also going to tell you in a minute what was universally voted in this poll as the absolute worst age to travel with your baby. See if you can guess what most moms said. I hope you can find the humor in it and not take any of this too seriously, because in the end, all kids and all parents are really different, of course, and the decision of when and whether or not to travel with them will be highly personal. However, I personally think you should travel with them at any age. Wanna say hello?
Hello. Gogi gogi.
So let's really briefly look at a few different distinct age groups here, starting with the newborn phase, so about like day 0, day 1 until 3 months old. A lot of parents really love traveling with babies at this age because newborns are super portable. They have somewhat predictable sleep schedules. They sleep a lot, and as a bonus, if you happen to be a breastfeeding parent, you don't have to bring a whole lot of the extra stuff that comes as your baby gets a little bit older or in the toddler phase. Baby food and snacks and all of that stuff. You just need your boobs. I mean, unless you're pumping, and then you do have to bring a whole bunch of stuff, but you know what I mean. It can be simplified in certain cases depending on what you're doing. Major cons of the newborn phase though are that if you're the birthing parent, you're still recovering at this stage. You may or may not be super sleep deprived. If your baby is under 2 months old, they haven't undergone their first round of immunizations, so you might feel a little bit scared taking your baby out in public or on an airplane, understandably. Psychologically, things are a little rough at this stage, as I recall. Especially as a new mom, you're just feeling a little bit on edge. Everything's new for you, so traveling can be a little bit anxiety inducing. Not for everybody, but for some people. My biggest tips and pieces of advice for babies this little are to travel with a wrap or a carrier, to be really sensitive about your baby's ears. Everyone's gonna tell you to have them suck on something during takeoff and landing, so either breastfeed your baby or give them a bottle or pacifier, which is really, really great advice, but don't stress too much about it because it's really hard to time feedings around takeoffs and landings in my experience. Pack extra outfits for everybody, parents included, and maybe like a crinkly toy or two. But you don't really have to go overboard with packing when your babies are this small, regardless of what people might tell you. The next phase, babies 4 to 6 months, this is often considered the sweet spot for traveling with babies just because they're a lot more durable than they were when they were newborns, and they're not yet mobile. So they cannot escape into the aisles, and they can still be lap babies, of course, so they can fly for free or for very, very cheap. But the cons of this age period are potential unpredictable sleep patterns, sleep regressions. My advice for this age as well is to not overpack too much. Don't overpack on the toys. Use the people around you as entertainment for your baby. Meaning like let your baby look at other people, don't plop your baby into other people's laps. Ages 7 to 12 months is when a lot of parents agree that babies start to become a lot of fun to travel with. This is because they're so much more aware of their surroundings and they're a lot more interactive. Cons, a lot of babies are starting to crawl at this point. They can escape from you, they want to move around, they want to do somersaults in your lap as a lap baby if that's how you're traveling. You'll probably have to do a lot more walking up and down the airplane aisle. It's a lot more exhausting in my experience traveling with a baby at this age, but yes, more fun. This is when you want to take your first pre-trip to the dollar store before your travel days and get some interesting random objects for your baby to play with on the plane. I have several videos on baby entertainment, especially at this age, so I will be sure to link them up above. Sanitation also becomes a concern at this age, so making sure you're traveling with lots of wipes. Those tray tables and airplane window shades are apparently pretty disgusting. Age 13 months to 18 months is when things really start to get interesting. They can still fly for free as lap infants up until 2 years old, I believe, on most airlines, but it's around this time that you start to question whether or not you should be flying with them as a lap infant. I personally did. I milked that until my son was 2 years old. Poor Dori is just kind of chilling. He's not feeling well, so. All right, we're gonna pause here and take a look at our survey. So more than half of the 100 moms surveyed said that the hardest age to travel with their little ones is between 1 year and 2 years, with that middle, smack in the middle part, 18 months being the very, very most difficult age. We saw this firsthand when we were in Indonesia a few months ago. We thought it was really difficult for us at some points traveling with our 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old by the time we left. And it was not easy, but then we had family visit. My husband's cousin came with his 18-month-old, and we looked at them with their 18-month-old baby and thought, no, that's hard. What they're doing is hard. What we're doing is not hard compared to that. Just because 18-month-olds are able to do so much physically, but they don't yet have the, I don't know how to say it, like the mental capacity, the logic to be able to listen to you, or in our case where we were, not throw cell phones into the ocean, not walk off the jetty into the ocean, whereas our 2-year-old would listen to us and, you know, like not cause himself great bodily harm in those cases. Based on our own personal little example, huge difference, leaps and bounds difference between an 18-month-old and a 2.5-year-old in terms of how easy it is to travel with them. At one point we were on a ferry together, like a 2-hour ferry, and the 18-month-old wanted to get up and run around and walk around and not sit still, and our son at 2.5 years old was able to very happily sit in his seat and watch movies and read books. And of course that's going to be different from child to child, personality wise anyway, or temperament wise, but I think age also played a huge factor here. So overall the timeline looks like this. Newborn and little babies, easiest to travel with. Mobile babies into young toddlers, difficult to travel with. Older toddlers, little kids, it gets easier again. And then your kids become tweens and teens and things get really hard again. I mentioned earlier in this video that it's really important to have activities and entertainment if you're traveling with older toddlers, I guess. So starting at 1 year old, between 1 and 2 years old. I've actually spent a whole lot of time making and curating a playlist just for baby and toddler entertainment on the plane. I recommend that you check that video out next. Thanks guys, see you in my next one.